Hey, what's going on, guys? The first ever Union Arena Content Creator Tournament has officially wrapped up, and I don't know how, but I got the dub. Crazy game, super sweaty, super fun. It was a lot of games. It was a long tournament. There was only 11 of us, but we were doing best of 3 rounds, so it took about 6 hours, but man, was it a super fun time. Got to show off a lot of Kaiju8 and Aoshi, so we're going to dive into the decks I was using. I literally played one game with Toto, and they didn't even get a double gen out, so like, the deck was doing great, but like, it just played one game for me, so these were the real stars of the tournament for me. I want to give a massive shout out to T-Mac, Legit Vocals, and GG Haven for putting all this together, streaming it. If you guys want to check out my channel for my POV of my games, I will admit there's one game, I think match 2, where I did the setup wrong and I didn't show my opponent's screen. But you can still like see my Aoshi plays. Regardless though, if you go check out, I believe it's Draw 3 events on Twitch or GG Haven on YouTube, they both have POVs of them actually like casting the event and watching over other games. So definitely check that out. I highly recommend it. And again, massive shout out to them for putting this together. It was a lot of work, I'm sure. This is never super easy to do, and it honestly ran pretty smooth, minus the first round. Some of us players did not understand the rules, obviously. We're figuring it out, and I'll break down what happened exactly, but it all worked out. Had a great time, and of course, massive shout out to all the creators and everyone who participated. This was so fun. I was, like I said, not expecting to win it at all, so we'll dive into the decks I was using. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, it was a conquest format, best of 3 tournament. Essentially, everybody got to bring one deck from different IPs. There were some mixed communication. I don't think we were supposed to show each other the decks before we banned one, because that's what we did. Going into each match, each round, you got to ban, you did a dice roll. Winner of the dice roll got to ban one deck, and then the other person banned a deck, just not using that deck for your best of 3. And then when you win with a deck, you don't use it for the rest of that best of 3. That was the part we were a little confused on, because in the very first round, I double checked, who knows if we misheard. Regardless, in the very first round, we went into the third best of 3 match, right? Because he won one, I won one. And then he won, and I should have lost, but he used the deck he initially won with, Red Kenshin, which I should have banned, but that's a whole other conversation. So he won twice with the deck, and we weren't the only people that did that. So we re-ran the round with how we were supposed to. He didn't use Kenshin because he won with that the first time. I actually think I used Kaiju, which I won with that previous round, funny enough. So we did it properly, and I did get the win. Luckily, they were really good games. It did go pretty back and forth. I would say almost the entire tournament. There wasn't much bricking, at least on my end or my opponents. A lot of just seeing what we wanted to see and stuff. So really good back and forth and pretty close matches for sure. Obviously, I was using some decks that require a bit more of setup and seeing key pieces in order to do things. I'll admit, swing into a special with Aoshi when you get that turn set up for 8 attacks, it's over. Didn't happen, thank God. Kaiju8, if we're not seeing... Honestly, I think our Renos are like the most important thing. We literally had a game where did not see double gens, but we luckily started with 2 Renos, and just we were able to play the game because of that. It was nuts. So Reno is so important. If you don't see Reno at all, let alone by like turn 2 or 3 to set him up and start resting cards on the front line, this deck can feel really bad, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, every deck has their like pros and cons, right? But regardless, these they perform so well. So I'll be posting videos, of course, at least one game from each of my 4 matches with my opponents. Hopefully I can find a POV on the second round, because like I said, I unfortunately did not have my opponent's screen up. I feel so dumb, dude. It's because we were switching tables in between rooms, and I didn't realize I had to switch that table on my OBS. Regardless, chat was trying to tell me as well, because I was streaming on YouTube. You can go see the VOD. And again, you can see my POV. But yeah, I was playing with chat minimized just to keep the game fair. I didn't want to get advice right while I was like missing a line or something. So had chat minimized the entire round, and they were just like, bro, this is a black screen. Anyways, match 1 and then 3 and 4, those opponents, you can see the entire game on my POV. And again, I'll be trying to upload at least one game from each one because they were all really good matches. But yeah, we were banning decks. Honestly, Toto was getting banned, I think 3. He got banned 3 out of my 4 matches, so that's what really allowed me to play these decks, which was awesome. And understandably, right, I think they were playing, at least everyone had one like ramp deck, a Lancelot or something. Even just Mustang needing a double gen to play because you need a 5 cost. Toto's scary, so he was getting banned like crazy. And while I don't think these are like the best of the best decks in the world, I do think what we went up against is consistently better all around. I think these are sleeper decks for sure, and they are newer too, so maybe we will see them kind of be shown off a little bit in regionals. But again, I only played 4 rounds. Who knows how well they perform? across 8 rounds, right, where you're really needing to win and not best of 3s. I got to admit, this best of 3 format really allowed me to play with these decks. I kind of got into this mindset in my last 2 matches where, since this was sort of like a high roll deck, a really set up deck, right, a higher roll I feel like, whereas Kaiju has its game plan. Regardless, I ended up starting with Aoshi both times, just in the mindset of if it does lose, I get a second chance with it, right? This was the deck I wanted to have 2 chances with every time, not Kaiju. So, I don't know, that was my mindset going into it. I think the best of 3 definitely played a role in these decks performing well, because I got to ban, man, I think I banned a Green Toshiro at least twice. I'm pretty sure these decks both instantly lose to Green Toshiro. So, again, there's a lot of factors that went into this, but all around, they performed well, matches were great, and it was a good time. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the deck list, because I'm sure that's the #1 thing people are wondering about here. So yeah, we'll save Kaiju for after, and honestly, Toto, it's just a standard Toto build. If there's anything to point out in this, is I have 2 Miwas, 2 of the 2 AP Miwas, wherever they are, and I have, I think, 3 of her, and then 4 zeros. That might be a bit weird. Oh, and then 2 of the Goodwill events. So yeah, that's like the main thing. If you want to check out my Toto list, that is in my X Burst as well, EX Burst. And I'll have links to all these down below. But yeah, we'll just talk about the main 2 that I really played in the tournament. So yeah, diving into the Aoshi deck list here, we have got our 4 Misos. Honestly, she's never really played a role for me other than being a draw trigger, and maybe Nullify Impact is nice at some point, but regardless, she's just a 0. My other 0, Aoshi, when play to draw and trash a card. The thing about this Aoshi deck that I love is there's abilities that allow you to draw, and you can replay those abilities, since you're able to essentially replay these characters. So the draw power in this deck goes so good, and I feel like it's just doing so much, right? It's doing a lot of different things. I'm also, because of the Miso that we'll get to, I am only running 8 zeros, but we technically have 12, right? The 1-drop Aoshi, who is a 3k on our turn, actually does play a role. He's the best one to swing with as a little weenie when you can't raid. And then yeah, this Aoshi color trigger is very good. When played with an ability, just allows us to straight up draw. So with things like playing him off of our raid, playing him out of our sideline, it's just like, this is a draw trash, but this is just a straight up draw when played with an ability. So good. I love the draw power in this deck. And then, honestly, I think this card saved me in a game at least once or twice. If you can start with this card, she's so good. Misao counts as a 0 if your field is empty. And there was at least one game for sure where I think I had her into like a 2 cost or something. Or a 1, or... No, it was her into a 2, I'm pretty sure. But I was like, I'm pretty sure we can keep this hand, because it's a 0, right? So I kept it, did the filter, and I think my 3rd card that I found was a 0, so I put it on the top. And, like, just stuff like that is so nice, right? Because when you're in a tournament setting, when you're really locked in at that point, no taking anything back, this is your hand, she can be a lifesaver with that filtering. And then the Hanya, so this is an awesome combo right here. I think this combo is really slept on and really helps the deck flow. So since I'm only going with the 8 attack special that we'll get to, this is our only form of removal in the entire deck. He's a 2 action point, but he's also a double gen, which is nice. Usually going for the second ability, you can either just play him to kill a 2k, or you can sideline one of your Oni Wabon group affinities, any card in the deck really, on your field. You get to draw a card, and you get to sideline a 4k on your opponent's turn. This is a pretty nuts card, especially because of Hanya right here. Obviously, if you don't know what this deck, real quick, I should have said this at the start, but anyways, the whole point of the deck is 8 attacks, right? You want to set up Aoshis on your energy line, so that with this special that we'll get to, it allows you to rest each Aoshi on the energy line to restand the Aoshi you selected with this. We'll break that down the combo in more detail later, but that's essentially what you're trying to do, right? By the end game, when you're going for that 8 attack turn, the whole game you're trying to set up 4 Aoshis on the energy line at least. So allowing to get some removal, as well as sideline this guy with your own card, or just block with him and get the 1 sideline. You trash a card, and then you get to play an Aoshi from your sideline rested, 2 or less. And again, just so nice, because if they're in life, put them back onto the field. If you need to use them earlier, block with them, you can get them back onto the field. If you need a raid on top of them, and like maybe just block with that. Like there was some turns where I raided on top of him, blocked with him, knowing that I can play him out of the sideline later. It's so awesome. So yeah, Hanya and Konryu as a 4 of. I think the combo worked so fantastic. And then there was, because of the low cost deck, there was a point where I would just push him up and block with him once I was done with him and the energy was good. Because again, you just want 4 Aoshis on the energy line with the perfect turn. And then I was sleeping on this guy, but finally gave in, and he is so good for early game. 4 cost, 4k Aoshi. And what's really nice about him is he doesn't require an Aoshi, he targets an Oni Wabon group. So you can target any character on your front line who's active when you play him, rest it, and then he comes out active. So if I just had the Miso on the front line who was going to get blocked anyways, just play him out, rest her. Now I've got a 4K and an extra blocker. And again, it's just extra pressure because now he's a 4K, and he allows us to like play this game where I don't need a raid for a 4K, and I can play him out set to active, and we've got that extra pressure while we're building up and trying to keep our smaller Aoshis rested on the energy line. And yeah, he allows you to play this interesting game where, yeah, you're essentially playing the long game, building up Aoshis on the energy line, allowing him to kind of just be on the front line, either blocking, pressuring your opponent, whatever. But yeah, a 4K draw trigger, and again, just being able to rest her. Oh, my favorite turns for sure were if I wasn't seeing the special and we were feeling like we should raid, especially with this guy, I would raid on top of him. Because you really want to save this raid for the special, so you go from a 5 to a 4K with the special, because the special reduces by 1,000. But what's really cool about him is I'd have some early turns where you want to hold on to it, but if you want to get bodies on the front line, survive a little bit, raid him out, use his ability to play him or whoever that you raided on top of onto the front line, then you just rest him with this guy. Now for 2 action points, you've got 3 bodies on the front line. 1 rested, of course, but 2 4Ks, 1 a 5K. So yeah, really fantastic. And again, you really do want to like sort of save these for the end if you can, in my opinion, just because, man, swinging with the special as a 3K feels so bad because it reduces by 1,000. But we'll get to that. So yeah, 4 cost Aoshi is so good, man. He's so good. Just taking advantage of his resting to keep cards alive, because I didn't even mention that as well. And here, we'll actually save this guy, because he shows it off. So our main raid Aoshi of the deck here, when played, he's going to be a 5K. Pretty good on defense too, but I didn't really see that. And then he's got his active main. You can play the base character that you raided on top of onto your field, and then they're going to get this classic text you'll see on a few different cards where you can play the Aoshis. This character cannot attack, and this character, if this character's active at the end of your attack phase, sideline it until the end of the turn. So what you're essentially trying to do is use that ability to rest those Aoshis one way or another, raid on top of them, whatever. I pretty much disregard this because you should have a game plan to avoid that Aoshi being rested at the end of the turn. But yeah, that's essentially the caveat to playing these Aoshis rested. They can attack, and they're going to get sidelined at the end of the turn. But yeah, so you're taking advantage of raiding on top of them, resting them with the special, with this 4 cost, whatever it may be. So yeah, this guy's amazing. And again, the big key thing about saving him for your end game is that when he's played, he's a 5K. When you unraid him, that 5K does not go away for the turn, so he will still be a base 5K. And then you just activate Kaiten Kenbu 6 successions, where you choose an Aoshi, they will lose 1,000 BP till the end of the turn, making him a 4K in this case. And then at the end of each of his attacks, you can rest an Aoshi on the field and then restand him. So yeah, essentially going for, if you can, 8 attacks total in the turn. It could be so good. And even early game, if your opponent doesn't have a lot of blockers and you've just happened to ramp with Aoshis, it can feel really good popping this on like a 3K or a 2K. It doesn't matter what their BP is if your opponent only has a couple blockers because it's so early. And now because of your energy line, you technically have 5 attacks, right? This deck can be really gross without even like meaning to at times. It just rolls into it. You just play into it. So yeah, for raid Aoshi, very important. And then definitely the savior of the deck, in my opinion. Honestly, I think if this guy didn't exist, I would not feel nearly as confident in the deck. The 4 cost, search, and nullify impact Aoshi. So when played, you can look at the top 3, grab any Oni Waban group, anyone but Konryu. Or you can grab a Kaiten Kenbu card. So basically your specials with him. There's no trash either. This is just such a good card. And again, there's going to be turns where we want to use this ability to play a card set to active, or this one that we're going to get into. And instead of that character getting sidelined, raiding on top of him is a better choice, right? So yeah, so the 2 raids just make this deck flow. Being able to search out your specials, since we're so special dependent, it just changes the entire game. Movement of Flowing Water. This is an interesting card that I'm actually at 3 of. And I'm curious, could definitely be a 2 of, but this card's too good. So you get to play an Aoshi with the stipulation that it can't attack, it'll get sidelined at the end of your turn. But you can play him from sideline, or you can play him from hand, and if you do play him from hand, you get to draw a card. So how I like to look at this card is if you have these 2 in hand, you could play him for an action point and not draw anything. Or you could play him with an action point with this card, obviously with the game plan, because he can't attack, and then you get 2 draws out of it. The combos feels so good. It feels so good. Or if he's in sideline, or you need to have Aoshi's in sideline and you want to start building up that energy line, you can use this on him, still get the draw off of the plate off of an ability. Movement of Flowing Water is so good. I love it. I'm at a 3 of. I am. It could definitely be a 2, but It's just such a good card. Because again, the thing that this deck thrives with is being able to play out a sideline. If I'm not seeing my Aoshis, if I need a block with them, get them back later, it is possible. So multi-attacks, removal, just sprinkles of it, low cost, playing out a sideline, free plays essentially at times, playing cards set to active. Man, it can be so good. I guess it doesn't really play into free plays necessarily, but the deck just feels really good when it's working. And the special here, obviously we have 4 finals. I am running the 4. We have the king of the deck, the key, in my opinion. I experimented with the other one, which is a traditional removal card. I think it's minus, you get to add 1,000 to it per Aoshi on the field. It's really easy to use it as a 5k, but regardless, it just feels so bad. You need your special in hand to be this card, and you just need to see 1. As long as you can see 1 at the right time, the mindset is like pick away at your opponent throughout the game and then slap this down when they're at like 3 or 4 life. Obviously, pray it's not a special because it's at the end of each Aoshi's attack, so like there's a good chance the first time you swing after popping this, he just gets removed. And it was scary swinging into Red Asta, Sukuna Yuji, for example, where they could just raid out of life and bounce my Aoshi back. But I got lucky. And again, I wasn't doing it too early. I was trying to wait until my opponent had like 3 life or so, 3 or 4 life if I could, just so that there was less risk of it being a good card. There's this one character who is, if he's active on the front line, he can be specialed or removed from the field instead of your Aoshi, in case you do swing into something like that. But you really need to play for Aoshis here. You really need to, get Aoshi set up. If you swing into a special, it is what it is. I've had too many games with that guy where I was just trashing him. I just didn't have the economy, right, to play him on the field rested or whatever. He could be a good card. I wouldn't be surprised if cutting like one of this and maybe one of them 2 or something. I wouldn't be shocked if that works. It's going to feel fantastic when you swing into a special and that guy's there to take it instead. But regardless, the deck works so good, right? You just gotta prey on your opponent's life at that point. But yeah, the weenie rushing, the bodies on the front line, the multi attacks, it just all plays so well. Playing out a sideline, the draw power, it performed well for me for sure. So I'll have a link in the description if you want to check this deck out. But I gotta be honest, it definitely loses to some stuff. I'm so happy we didn't see green Toshiro, because you instantly lose with this, right? You have your setup with your Aoshis, and then he just freezes your energy line. Like, there's nothing you can do at that point. And then taking a look at the Kaiju deck here, a little bit of a different brew. Funny enough, I got second at the rare battle with this, and I was debating making a deck profile with it, or I was going to. But this works out as well, so we can talk about it in this video. The Kaiju deck. So yeah, so green Kaiju was performing very well for me. Again, I was luckily seeing my Renos, and I feel like if I wasn't, that could have easily been my downfall, especially in one of my last games. But regardless, we've got 3 of the Kikuru, just my 0. By the way, I'm doing 11 zeros, I think, in all these decks. I think I, funny enough, had 12 in the Toto to be safe. But yeah, 11 zeros across the board, 4 1s, 4 2s. That's usually what I go for in all my decks. We had the 4 Draw Trash Minas, pretty traditional. We had the Kafkas, 0 Get Trigger. We got 4 of the Draw Trash Kafka, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of games where you don't want to draw trash too much, and you definitely want to trash this Mina instead of this Kafka, right? So there would definitely be games where, like, let's say I had these 3 in my starting hand, I would definitely choose Kikuru first, and then Kafka. In case I drew into something pretty good, I would trash the Mina, because we want the raid targets on the field, right? So yeah, definitely be careful with the draw trash in this. It can kind of feel bad, especially because you're doing a lot of trashing in this deck in some games for sure. Let's see, Reno, our god here, who can rest cards on the front line, and he can also be rested when he does that so that he generates double energy, and we definitely want that with this deck since we're trying to get up to 6 most of the time. Also, the step ability was so good. Being able to, when we were getting like sort of rushed down, we were going up against red decks, Oster or whatever, they had cards on the front line by their second turn or whatever. Playing him on the front line, obviously if he died, it'd feel bad, but it was so early in the game, I was pretty sure it was kind of impossible to kill him, or maybe they wouldn't use the resource on him. So I'd play him on the front line as a 3k, he'd get a block off, and then I would just move him back. So great card. Again, he needs to be active as early as possible on your energy line so that he can rest himself to rest a card, double generate, help with your game plan of having rested cards on the front line for your big 8 cost. And also with like 7 raids all being for Kafka, it's super, super convenient resting Kafkas for this, and then just raiding on top of them after. So nice. Let's see, and then we've got our 3 cost color trigger, draw a card, double energy gen Kafka. One of the best that you could ask for in a ramp deck. Why is it not focusing? Kafka. There we go. And then we've got 3 Kikurus in the deck. This is definitely a must run in my opinion. She is so good, because again, she plays into your whole resting mechanic game plan. You want to get her set up as early as possible just so she's active on your energy line. And then in the right games where you're not going to brick yourself, you have a card rested on the front line, and then right before you go into attack and you're done playing cards, you just use her ability if you're generating 6 to swap her with that rested character. Now you've got another attacker. So yeah, just a great double energy generator who can play into more offensive turns if you're sort of running out of that steam or whatever. And then this is, I don't think this played a role in my games, and honestly, you could cut it for the Mina, but I'll be real, I've had some games where this comes in clutch. It's a 1-of Monster Sweeper Inc. You could definitely, this is a flavor splash. You could swap this with some stuff, but I see the value in this, especially just as like a 1-of, so you're not seeing too many of it. What I really like about it is, so when you play it, you trash any card in your hand to grab a Kafka or a Reno with 3 or less from your sideline. And I mean, I have 7 raids in here. If I'm not seeing Renos and they're just all going from life to trash, I just feel like this could be a great card to get me back those cards that I really, really, really need because I'm just not seeing them, right? And they just happen to be in sideline. You know, it's a 1-of. It's a get trigger, which is what I really like on my 1-of. So if it does end up in life, we do get the card still. So yeah, definitely a flavor splash. I think there's a lot of good changes and different builds you can make in Kaiju that will work. But this is a card that I've been enjoying. May or may not cut it, we'll see. But yeah, no Step Mina double energy gens, which I know are very popular. And then we've got 4 of the 4-cost Mina, who is definitely a 4-of, no question in this deck, allowing you to restand characters who are rested so that you don't have to trash for your raids, or if you are resting, like maybe, I don't know, this card or a Kikuru for the Reno ability, you can just restand it still. Had to be active. She has to be active, and the card had to be active already that turn, but just a great addition to this game plan of I'm resting my own cards, right? But yeah, just looking at these 3 cards, though, that was definitely like the big thing you need to see is sort of not only these cards in that order, obviously, in order to play them, but you need to see them as soon as possible so that they can be active, ready to do stuff. That's definitely the biggest challenge with this deck for sure. And then we've got 3 of the 4-cost Kafka. I was very back and forth on if I should be putting 4 of him in there, but I don't know. I was just feeling like with 12 raid targets, I don't want to be taking them all up with this guy. And I don't want to see this guy too often. I feel like the Kaiju raid is the one you want to get off as much as possible if there is stuff to sideline with him. But yeah, overall, about 3 of this Kafka. Also, just with my current build, and I don't want to splash in too many 2 or lesses, the one plate isn't super strong or super consistent. It reminds me of the green color trigger. So I'm at a 3-of. He's so good, though. He's so good, though. Such a good card. A little draw trash engine. And he can also rest himself so that you can play into the resting abilities to try to get the 8 cost off as a 6 more often. But then we've got 4 of the Kaiju raid here. Fantastic card. I mean, this guy is so good, dude. A raid card that can sideline a 4K is always going to be fantastic. For the millionth time, he plays into resting stuff too. You rest him when you're sidelining a 4K. Or if he's alive and you just want to play him and then rest him for impact and 5K, it's the fact that he can rest himself so that he can make this card a little cheaper. Since Reno can only rest 1 card, right? If the perfect game, you only have 1 Reno most of the time, I'd say. And you really don't want to. You want double energy gens on the energy line, right? So you have 1 Reno to rest stuff, and then you have this or the Kafka to rest themselves, which could be good. Or you just play cards rested. Such an interesting mechanic that works really well with how the game goes. And then we've got 3 of the 8 2-action point Kaiju. The Shove Back and Freeze, damage 2, 5K. This guy's a monster. This guy's a monster. I feel like in certain matches, once my opponent played some specials and I knew that their removal cap was like a 4K or so, I think the 5K was a pretty tough wall to get around. On top of the damage 2 being great pressure, and the lock is just so strong. I love the turns where I've got like 1 or 2, maybe 3 bodies if I'm really lucky from the previous turn, and I can just pop 1 of my specials to remove something, 1 Kaiju8 to shove something back, and now just for 3 actions, I've cleared up 2 things with an insane body ready to swing, right? This card is definitely the big card in the deck. I think I'm going to keep it as a 3. I think 4 would be way too much, especially because it has an add-to-hand trigger, but you need to see this card every game. So as a 2, I just feel like I don't see it too often. But yeah, the god himself, the king of the deck, Kaiju8, he's just so good. 4 finals, of course, and 4 of my specials. And I did want to say, with this special trigger, I love the first option in it where you can target a 5K, move it to their energy line, and get a draw. Since we're doing so much trashing and stuff, it's definitely helped me in some games where I need to use that in order to have one other card in hand, because I'm swinging for game, right? In order to restand a card, because I need a trash to restand or something. So it's really nice having that as an option. Definitely keep it in mind, because sure, you could sideline something because removing stuff is better, but if it's endgame, if your opponent has 1 life, you either win here or lose here, you might as well just shove it back and draw, right? That's my mindset with it. So honestly, an insane extra ability to have on a special, because no matter what, you can still target 5Ks. Also, if you guys didn't know, there's literally no BP limit as well on the Brace Yourself, so yeah, it's a pretty strong special for sure. One of my favorites. And yeah, that is the Kaiju8 deck. I want to say more or less standard, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people are running the Mina step, and I think she's great. I'm sure the Found You event card is good too, especially if you do find a Kaiju and it's a free search. But at the end of the day, I just did not have as much success with those cards as I did with my game plan, right? My game plan of an active Reno into an active Kikoru into an active Mina, so that the following turn, I've got my setup to really start pressuring, you know? And when I go down to like 3 or 2 of any of those really key cards that I was talking about that we need to see as soon as possible, just didn't see them fast enough or as often to feel like it was even worth it. So yeah, the 4 ofs are very, very key in this, I feel like. Again, I think the sight is the #1 thing I'd totally be fine with taking out. But again, there were definitely some games in the past where like I was able to raid my 1 Kafka because I was not seeing other raids, and I wasn't nervous because I had the sight in hand, you know, just get that Kafka raid target back. But yeah, that is essentially the deck list. Again, I could go over all the matches, but we did best of 3s, and out of 4 rounds, there's like 12 different matches that we'd be breaking down. So, and yeah, like I said, they're all up on the VOD. You guys can go watch them firsthand if you're curious. And on top of that, I'm going to be uploading at least 1 of each game, hopefully, from each of my rounds. So definitely look forward to that. But again, massive shout out to the people that put the tournament together. Massive shout out to everyone who came out and participated. It was such a good time playing with a lot of these guys for the first time ever. And yeah, finally being able to link up and do something like this. Hopefully bring creator content more often to you guys, like content creator collabs like this, especially on a level like this, and maybe even more people in future tournaments. It's going to be really cool. And then yeah, if you guys do want to check out any of these, like I said, or watch future tournaments, definitely check out the Draw 3 Events Twitch or YouTube channel, and GG Haven as well, because yeah, they're definitely fantastic hosts. Very happy that they put this together. And yeah, while luck was a big factor in all the games, and it's always going to be a factor, it was really, really fun seeing constant back and forths, people seeing their key pieces, and just having really, really good games all around. I feel like the best of 3 format works really well with Union Arena, especially if we are able to play the games fast, which we generally are. Obviously had some technical difficulties, some clarification rules. We had to rerun an entire game, but that was just our first time doing a creator tournament. So, oh, and if you guys did hang out and watch the stream, stop by at any point, if you do go watch the VOD, massive appreciation. We really appreciate that. I mean, we one of the reasons we do this is so that we can put on a show and entertain you people. So hopefully you guys were entertained, and yeah, hopefully we get to do more of this in the future. It sounds like maybe not after Demon Slayer, but maybe after like Evangelion and stuff drops, we'll do another one of these. It's going to be dope. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully if you guys do try these decks out, you do look at the builds and give them a shot. They perform well for you. Again, they take a little bit of setting up. I do feel like these kind of were pilot dependent. There were definitely some decisions that I'm very glad I made, because if I didn't, it would have played into a completely different turn. But yeah, all around, glad my favorite decks that I enjoy and think are good are performing well. That's what I was happy to see. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.